Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all for today's webinar session on technology, a boon using Excel to Excel. Today, we have with us uh, our worthy Vice President SAFA, South Asian Federation of Accountants, Shri Ashfaq Yusuf Tolaji. And I think I would welcome Shri, our worthy Chairman of Digital Accounting and Assurance Board, ICI, CA Shri Charanjot Singh Nandaji in absentia. I think we'll be soon joining. He's in a meeting, so he'll soon join the webinar. Further, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome our young speaker for today's session, CA Priya Seth, who is executive member of the JNK branch of NIRC. So it is a matter of pride for all of us that such a young female chartered accountant from JNK has excelled in her area of specialization, that is Excel and other. First of all, I would I would like to speak a few words for Mr. Ashfaq Yusuf Tolaji, who has specially given us his precious time and joined the webinar session. Good evening, sir. Mr. Ashfaq Yusuf Tolaji is a fellow member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan and the Institute of Cost and Management Accountants of Pakistan. He is the former Minister of State of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan and Chairman of Reforms and Resource Mobilization Commission of Pakistan. Besides, former President ICAP for the term 2022 and 23. He has been a member of the ICAP's Council since 2017. He has also served as the Vice President for the term 2020 to 2022 and headed various committees of the Institute, including the Fiscal Laws, Economic Advisory, and Government Relationship, Overseas Coordination, and Examination Committees. He is an accomplished professional who has an experience of over 30 years in diversified areas, including tax planning and advisory, assurance and business advisory services, international mergers and acquisitions, corporate finance and investment banking, financial product design and launching, and corporate affairs. He is also a life member of the SARC Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He has also served as a technical advisor to a member of the International Federation of Accountants IFAC board, a member of the board of directors CA Worldwide, a member of the board of South Asian Federation of Accountants, now he is the vice president, and member of the board of Confederation of Asian and Pacific Accountants CAPA, member of Tax Reforms Commission 2014, member of Tax Reforms Implementation Committee of FBR, member board, Privatization Commission, Government of Pakistan, president of Karachi Club for 4 years, advisor of the Institute of Policy Reforms, and honorary life member of the Karachi Press Club. Mr. Tola is keenly interested in matters about the economy of Pakistan and knows more than 40 tax jurisdictions around the globe. So we welcome you, sir, to our session, today's webinar session. Now, I would
Thank you.
give a brief. I would give a uh, brief about what is the webinar about today. So, for our eminent speaker is CA Priya Seth. Technology has revolutionized every sphere of human life, beginning from communication to connecting people globally, like we are connecting today. Technology has benefited the society at large by enhancing efficiency, increasing productivity, and creating economic growth. Educational technology has transformed learning and making knowledge accessible to diverse learners worldwide. Now, technology has significantly benefited chartered accountants by streamlining processes, enhancing efficiency, and providing valuable tools for financial management. And in these tools, Excel is one of the best tools for tracking financial data. It has many features such as spreadsheets, charts, and formulas that help in managing huge volumes of data and simplifying them to make it useful using filters and pivot tables, etc. Today we have with us CA Priya Seth, an eminent speaker on the Excel tools and how, as we chartered accountants, can get benefits of these Excel tools. Now, before I give this opportunity to Miss to CA Priya to speak, I'll just speak a few a brief about her profile. So, CA Priya Seth is presently the executive member of the JNK branch of NIRC of ICAI and convener, Student and Taxation Committee of JNK branch of NIRC of ICAI. She is the first girl to be a part of the managing committee of the branch. She is guest speaker at National Conference for Women CAs organized by the ICI in January 2023. She was a consultant in Axis Risk Consulting for about a year. After that, she started her own practice in Jammu. She is a public speaker and has delivered seminars on advanced Excel with Pathankot Study Circle, East End Delhi Study Circle, and lots of webinars on advanced Excel with Ludhiana branch, JNK branch of NIRC, East End Study Circle, Gandhinagar Study Circle of NIRC of ICI, Kirodimal College, Maitri College of Delhi University, KJ classes, and Tax for Wealth. She has conducted career counseling with Directorate of School Education (JNK), which was attended in huge numbers by the students. She has also conducted investor awareness program with Fiki Flow J&K and Ladakh chapter. Also conducted seminar on financial planning program for teachers of various schools in Jammu. Conducted a seminar on GST for hospitality sector in March 2023. Actively involved with ICI as a moderator on various occasions for DAAB, that is, and CFMIFP and CPEC. She has a dedicated column in Times of India back in school days. With over 6 years of experience, she provides consultations in taxation and also has experience of SOX compliance, auditing and appeals, financial and technical analysis of projects, risk management, and advising clients on financial structures. Now, without taking much of your time, I'll request CA Priya Seth to please deliberate on the topic. Sir,
Ma'am,
yes.
can I say a few words before going to, because my council meeting is in continuum. So
Sure,
may I
sir.
request you to kindly give me a few minutes. So and thereafter, our learned speaker will definitely impart knowledge to the participants. Basically, the purpose of today's webinar is really excellent, and the Excel, which is, I mean, in my student day, which used to call it Symphony or Lotus, has now taken a very good shape, and obviously it is far advanced now from the financial perspective, calculation perspective. Let me tell you, this is very educative seminar, and I hope that I could attend it. But unfortunately, due to my council meeting going on, I have to attend that as well. I wish all the best and a great success to Madam Speaker, you and the entire participant, and Institute of Chartered Accountants of India for holding this webinar. And I hope that we will achieve the relevant target which we will have. But let me tell you very frankly, as far as this region is concerned, this is my endeavor that we must come up with a strategy, a joint strategy to boost this region. And I can tell you very frankly that this region is only controlling 15% of the IT export around the globe. And Alhamdulillah, I'm really very much pleased to know that alone India has a lion's share of 14.91% in the global uh, IT exports. So, considering this, being a big brother, India has to contribute it a lot. And obviously, Pakistan, although we are gaining momentum in Pakistan, but rest of the countries, which is Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Maldives, they are way behind. I think we have to form a joint strategy. We have a digital board, and I think we want to pool the resources to give impetus and give a boost to this IT export from this region. And I think India has to lead. Let's accept the supremacy of India in this field. And obviously, I know for sure we know the things that people to people and heart to heart talk between the Indians and Pakistanis are much greater, much deeper than we can see or we can just read in the newspaper or we can see in the TV channels. I think this is the right time for this region to open the borders and exchange people to people contact frequently. I wish that we could hold a conference in Pakistan, and I'll invite every one of you to come to Pakistan and see the hospitality of the people. Don't worry, I'll take the responsibility of arranging your visits, your visas, stay, and everything. Wish you all the best. Thank you very much for inviting me, and I'm available. I think for next 2 years, Almighty willing, and wherever if you need any support from my side, uh, I am at your disposal. With these words, congratulations to you and wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you for your so nice words and for us. And we would definitely love to visit Pakistan and have our institute, because I think institute is worldwide. So this accounting and auditing standards will they are so um, uh, they pertain to every country, every place. So I think this is the common thing which is between us. One more common thing between us is our institute, which is I think I think which makes us professionals all around the globe to come together to have one platform. And thank you so much. Thank you for your words of wisdom, and definitely we would love to visit Pakistan and have a good time
Thank
there.
you. Thank you. Thank
Before
you.
you leave, Ashfaq sir, I just want to say that I have about one-fifth of your experience, but it is an absolute delight to meet you. And I really hope to meet you soon in person as well.
Sure, I will definitely come to India. Uh, this is the birthplace of my forefathers. Unfortunately, you both are living on the heaven of the on the earth, and I think I must come to India and visit uh, Srinagar, Ladakh, everywhere. I mean, without any embargo. Obviously, I know right now it is not possible, but I hope that soon it will be possible. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me, and
Thank
all
you.
the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I request you, CA Priyasep, to please start the session. We are eagerly waiting.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone. I am very thankful to the DAB committee of ICI and the SAFA for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge with all of you. I assure you that you will be learning at least something new today. And let's begin with the session. So, is my screen visible, ma'am? Smriti ma'am, please give me a thumbs up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, today we have 19 topics to be discussed in a span of 3 hours, which I would try to complete on time. So, we'll be discussing certain advanced features like sorting, advanced sorting, filtering, the if function. How can you find out a financial year from any particular date? We'll also discuss about the what if analysis. We'll move on to the next section, which is towards the end, which is the shortcuts. And I would also cover the errors so that you are able to figure out what all errors do we get on the screen and how can we remove those errors to have a error free interface. So before I begin my session, my LinkedIn profile scanner is on your screen. You can always scan it. You can, my contact details are also on your screen. You may quickly take a screenshot, and I would love to be connected with all of you on the professional platform. So let's begin with the first session, with the first topic, which is sorting and advanced sorting. So basically, what sorting does is, as the name suggests it just arranges the data in a particular order, say in an alphabetical order from A to Z, or in the reverse order, which is from Z to A. For this, I have an example for you on the screen. On your screen, you can see certain names of people. Along with them, there is a sales column and the region to which they pertain. What I want is, I want the data to be alphabetically arranged in a way that all the regions come in from A to Z. They come from A to Z format. I mean to say that they should be arranged in a way that first the east comes, followed by north, south, and west. So for that, what we have to do is simply select your data using Control Shift and down key. I'll be telling you certain shortcuts while doing the functions itself. So Control Shift down arrow key. This will just select the particular data which is right there on the screen. It will not select unnecessary data. And simply press Control Shift and use the right arrow key to select the complete table. Now you're supposed to add a filter to this table. So use Control Shift L, L for London. The moment you do this, there's a small drop down arrow which comes on your screen, which you can see over here. This shows that the filter has been applied. Now the real game comes into the picture, which is to apply the sorting. For this, simply click on the cell on the drop down arrow and you click on sort A to Z. When I do this, observe the screen. First comes the east, followed by north, because pertains to north, followed by south, and then comes the west. Now, what if I want to do it in the reverse fashion, which is from Z to A? For that, I repeat the steps. But before that, I would have to go one step behind. So for that, I would use Control Z, which is undo, written in the red on your screen. So in order to do reverse sorting, alternatively, you can also click on Data tab. So I'll do that when I'll do it in due time. So I'll just repeat it quickly. Control Shift L by selecting the data, it will apply the filter. Now click on the drop down arrow and you click on Z to A over here. The moment you click on it, the data gets arranged in the reverse fashion. So Z to A is written on the right hand side of your screen, which is west, south, north, and east. Heading back to the original data, I'll have to do Control Z again. This was the very basic function of sorting. This everybody does. But we are here to learn something different today, which is learning how to do customized sorting. How about a situation wherein I want to see the data arranged in a region wise way, but it has to be in the order of north, south, east, and west. This is neither A to Z nor Z to A. So, for that, I am here to help you. Since my filter is already applied, I'll directly shift to the next function, which is I'll go to the data tab. Over here, I will click on advanced over here under the sort and filter ribbon. When I click on advanced, sorry, I'll click on the sort button. I apologize, it has to be the sort button over here under the sort and filter. When you do that, you can click on sort by, would be the region, which is the name of your column. And the order over here on the right hand side would be custom list over here. When you click on this, a new screen appears. Now the custom list has to be according to your choice. So under the list entries, you enter your particular order, which is north, comma, south, comma, east, comma, west. Or instead of writing like this, you can simply write north, press enter, south, press enter, east, enter, west. Either ways, it's fine. And then you click on this add button. Having done this, click on OK. So the order over here is selected as north, south, east, and west. And I click on OK. Observe the data in the background. Originally, I'm having north on the top, followed by east, south, and west, so on and so forth, all haphazard. When I click on OK, I have north. The first data is the north, followed by south, followed by east, and the last is west. So the data has been arranged as per my convenience, as per what I wanted. So I'll just quickly repeat this. I just did it in one screen. The simple sorting has to be done by simply selecting the data using Control Shift right arrow key, Control Shift down arrow key. Simply press Control Shift L, L for London. Under the drop down, click sort A to Z or Z to A. In order to do it in a customized format, go to the Data tab, click on Sort. Under the order, go in the Custom list and enter your customized list. When it's done, select that and click on OK, and you press OK again. Sort by would be the region, and you click OK, and it's done. So this completes the very first topic, which was sorting and advanced sorting. Let's take it one step further. Now what I want to do is I want the regions to appear as per my customization, which was north, south, east and west. But additionally, I want all the names to be sorted alphabetically. So for that, we can take it one step further. Let's redo it because this is a new sheet. So I select the data, Control Shift down, Control Shift right, Control Shift L. Under the region, under the data tab, I click on sort. Sort by has to be region. The order will be customized. It's already in the list on the left side. I click OK. Now I click add level over here. When I click add level, it says sort by region, then by what? So it means you are adding another level to your sorting. So next, then by would be the names. Names order would be A to Z, and I click OK. The moment I click OK, observe the screen. North is obviously there's just one person, so it is coming on the top. However, for South, if you see the names A, M, S, and V, this is all alphabetical. When we had not done this sorting, the original data had everything haphazard. South was arranged, but Mohit was coming on top, Ashwin was coming at the bottom. So by doing advanced sorting and taking it one step further, we added two criteria. And how would I know if sorting has been done or not? I simply look at the arrow key over here next to the drop down menu. So against the names, I can see there's an arrow, and against the region, I again can see an arrow. It means sorting has been applied. Having done this, let's quickly move on to the next topic, which is auto filter and advanced filter. So for auto filter, because we are here to learn quick ways to do our things and to automate certain things so as to save our precious time, so we need to learn certain tools which will help you to simply just click on one thing and do your task. The Mango Man approach to filter a task is to apply a filter like we just did using Control Shift L. Then you click on the drop down menu, then you select the data. But we are here to save time, which is why we would use the auto filter command. For that, you are supposed to do one quick change in your Excel, which is go to the file, click on options. Now, go to the quick access toolbar over here. Having done that, I would request you not to make any notes as of now because the recording of the session would anyway be available on the ICI TV. But you can make just quick notes for reference purpose if you want to. So after going to files, going to the options, you click on quick access toolbar, and under the drop down, you click on all commands. After clicking on that, in the left hand side, keep on scrolling down and press A. A would simply help you come down to the A alphabet. No rocket science is in this. And you keep on scrolling down to find auto filter. There's a funnel like structure which says auto filter. When you find it, you click on add button over here. Since I've already added, it's there on the right hand side. So originally your screen would appear like this. So when you try to find it, you click on auto filter with the funnel like structure and you click on add and you click OK. Having done that, you would notice the top of your screen would have certain buttons like home, insert, page layout. Just above that row, you will be able to see certain buttons. One of them would be auto filter. So when you click on Alt button, you'll be able to see certain numbers assigned to each one of those buttons. In my screen, it is 8. In your screen, it could be number 3, 4, 5, etc. So there's no hard and fast rule as to what number would be assigned. It will completely depend upon what your computer is giving you the output. Alternatively, if you click on the data tab and you click on the filter button, you can right click on it and you can click on add to quick access toolbar. Depending on your version, if it allows you, good. If it doesn't, you can simply go to file and options. So the benefit of this button is, let's see what it does. So you click anywhere inside the table and you simply press Alt and the number which is assigned to this auto filter. So I want to sort out all the data containing Eastern region. One of the Mango Man approach, as I said, is you select the data, Control Shift down and right arrow key, Control Shift L. Then you go to the region tab, then you select manually, say East, and you click Enter. So this is the data which you would derive. But the alternative way is to simply place your cursor on the cell whose data needs to be sorted out or filtered out. In my case, it is East. So I simply single clicked on the East cell and I click Alt with the number assigned. So Alt, in my case, it's 8. So Alt 8 together. Having done this, I just realized within a few seconds, all the data pertaining to Eastern region got filtered within seconds. Now, in order to remove this filter, again, you can go to the data tab and click on clear, or you can click on the drop down button and click on clear filter, or you can also do this quick assignment thing again. So you right click on the clear button and you add it to the quick access toolbar. In my case, I've already done it and number 7 has been assigned. So I click Alt 7, the data comes back to its original position. Let's move on to the second segment of this particular topic, which is advanced filter. So advanced filter will help you to extract all the information pertaining to a particular person. So let me go by the traditional approach of finding out information about a particular salesperson, say Nikhil. On your screen, you can see different salesmen, their product 1 sales, products 2 sales, the state and the region. So original way to do is, the traditional way to approach is to apply a filter, then you click on the drop down button, then you write the name in the search box, Nikhil, and you press enter, then you copy paste it elsewhere. So this is how we usually do. Before, I just came across one shortcut which you may also use. When you click on the drop down, you can use Alt and down arrow key. It will help you bring down this drop down arrow key. And then you click on E button, E for elephant. So you can quickly scroll down to the search bar. So whenever you're using a drop down button, instead of using your mouse, use Alt down and you press E to, to simply skip to the search bar over here instead of pressing it manually with your mouse. So coming back to the topic, we want all the information pertaining to Nikhil right on our screen using the advanced filter option. So for that, we simply click anywhere inside the table which we have created. Now we go to the data tab and we click on advanced. Okay. So now in the pop-up that appears, click on copy to another location. It means you are supposed to copy this information elsewhere. If you don't do this, your existing data will get replaced, which is not what we want. Now, let me just delete this quickly. Allow me a minute. I'll redo it for you. So we are learning advanced filter and we click anywhere inside the table. We go to the data tab. We click on advanced button under the sort and filter ribbon. And then we click on copy to another location. The list range would be your entire database, which is your entire table. Excel is a little intelligent, it automatically detects the data. However, you can change it if you want to by simply selecting the cells. So use your shift and control key and the upward and downward arrow key to select your table if you want to. So your criteria range would be what has been mentioned on the right hand side of the screen, which is salesman and Nikhil. So I simply drag and drop, and copy to would be any blank space over here. And I click OK. The moment I click this, all the information pertaining to Nikhil is right on my screen. Let us compare with the original data. Nikhil has three informations, south, north and east, and my data has the same, south, north and east. One thing which you need to be careful about is that your headings have to be exactly the same. There has to be absolutely no variation in the original data heading and your heading. So for that, you can simply copy paste the heading on your criteria. I'll just do it for you to make it happen. So I simply copy this cell which says salesman and I paste it elsewhere on the screen. And now I type Nikhil. Okay. So now I go on data tab, I click on advanced, copy to another location. List range is my entire data, original data. Criteria range is something on the right hand side. I can simply click on Nikhil as well, and copy to would be any blank space. And I click OK. I just accidentally placed it somewhere else. Just a minute. Advanced. Criteria range is H5. Copy to would be my blank space, which is over here. And I click OK. I am accidentally clicking on another button which is making this strange. My criteria range, copy to, click OK. Yeah, so it's done. Now let's add one step further. Why why just Nikhil? I want information about another salesperson. Say Sam on the left hand side, it's highlighted in yellow. So the traditional approach would be to apply a filter. I go to the search button, I click Nikhil and I click Sam, I put the tick mark and the data comes on the screen. But we can alternatively use the advanced filter option by simply using the steps that I stated. So I'll simply copy paste the headings on the right hand side under my criteria range. Let's delete this unnecessary data. And under Nikhil, I write Sam. So I repeat the steps. I go to data tab. After clicking anywhere inside the table, I go to data, advanced, copy to another location. My list range is my original data. The criteria range would be what I've written on the right hand side. I simply drag and drop, and copy to would be any blank space. Say here, and I click OK. The moment I do this, observe my screen on the right side. All the data pertaining to Sam and Nikhil comes right on the screen. How about adding another criteria? Say I want to add all the more details about Nikhil. I don't want every information about Nikhil, but I want data wherein Nikhil has made sales of product one, say more than 6,000 only. I don't want any other data. So I add that criteria here itself. So this table is the criteria table wherein I want to enter all the conditions. So Nikhil sales has to be more than 6,000. This is how I write the criteria. And for Sam, if we see the original data, his sales ranges from 7,400 to 8,600. So I write more than 8,000. So these are the two criteria. For Nikhil, I just want the sales which are more than 6,000 for product one. For Sam, I want the sales which are more than 8,000 only. Which means for Nikhil, I would get out of the three results, I would just get one result. Sorry, two results. And for Sam, I would just get one result. Let's see if it works. Click anywhere inside the table, data, advanced. copy to another location. The list range is the database, criteria ranges, entire criteria on the right hand side, and copy to is any blank area over here. And I click OK. I think my criteria went wrong, which is why Sam did not get. Let me just recheck. Yeah, this my criteria was wrong. Criteria range did not select Sam. Done. Copy to done. So you can see Nikhil. Two criteria. As I said, two answers had to come for Nikhil. They did. For Sam, one answer had to come. It did. So this is how advanced filter works. This is useful wherein you are supposed to extract a lot of information one after the other. This is a very useful feature which you can use then. Having done that, let's move on to something very simple, which is the subtotal. I'm assuming that you are understanding, otherwise, you can just put in the chat box, for which the moderator would, of course, tell me if you want me to go a little slower or to repeat anything. So, the subtotal is
And I
one.
think we'll be taking the questions later.
Please come again, ma'am.
Ma'am, I think we'll be taking the questions later, but if you want, because they told me that I think they'll be putting in the chat box, and I think I request all the viewers that they should participate. They should please write down their questions, and ma'am will take a half an hour session later, and then we can just have our questions.
Absolutely right. But I want you to give me the feedback if you want me to repeat anything in between or go a little slower or anything of the sort. Because I'm not able
Okay,
to
I'll
all the participants here, so you're the only representative.
yeah, no issues.
Okay. So
Thank
let's move on to the next function, which is a very, very easy function, which is called the subtotal. So subtotal, as the name suggests, it gives you the total of a particular column or a row, but a particular section would be totaled for you. For example, on your screen, you can see certain advances which have been categorized into doubtful, loss, substandard, and standard. What I want is with a click of a button, not with a click of a button, but with the usage of the formula, when I segregate the data, I should know the subtotal right on my screen. So, for example, the normal sum is when you do is equal to sum A1 is to A10. But when I put the filter button, the sum is not the correct sum that I want. For that, this function comes into picture. You would understand when I actually use the formula. So simply understand the formula, which is equal to subtotal. Another shortcut which just struck my mind is instead of writing the entire formula with your hands, you can simply write half of it like sub, and the Excel is going to prompt the formula. So you select it using your arrow keys and press tab. So tab, what tab does is it simply completes the formula all by itself, thereby saving your time to type in everything manually. So the formula is equal to subtotal bracket open 9 number, which is for sum. There are other numbers also which are assigned, which would come on your screen automatically, comma, and then you select your range whose total is required by you. You close the bracket and you press enter. So the original sum is 51358. Okay. My subtotal is at this moment also 51358. Perfect. Now let's use this formula and understand why it is useful. So I apply the filter Control Shift L. I tried, or you can use the advanced filter option, advanced filter also. I select an type of advanced which is say substandard and I click OK. So the subtotal is 11457, which is the real case, but my sum feature will not give the this thing correct total. Let me just do it for you. Sum Control Shift L. Let's have a subtotal of loss assets. So my sum function is not changing. It says 51358. Is the total of loss assets 51358? No, it's not. Let's manually check. It's 13992. So my sum function is defeated over here, which is why I said the subtotal function comes in hand. So whenever I'm trying to filter out a particular data, say substandard assets, my total is changing automatically. Let's move on to another asset which is doubtful. My subtotal changed automatically. I would suggest you to put the subtotal right in the initial stage itself, like is equal to subtotal, the entire data set. Why? Because if you put it right in the middle of filtering it, it will not give you the correct results. That is to say, first I filtered out doubtful assets and now apply the formula is equal to subtotal, bracket open, 9 number. 9 is being used because I usually use 9 for sum. And I click comma and I select the database, bracket close and enter. Till now, perfect. It is giving the correct result. But if I choose another type of advance, say substandard, this formula would fail. My actual sum is 11457, but the subtotal is giving the wrong answer. That is because the cell reference changed. If I click F2, it just chose two cells, which is why I said initially that when you have the entire data set with you, that is where you apply the formula. So is equal to subtotal, comma, is equal to subtotal tab, bracket open, 9, comma, select your data and bracket close. Enter. Having done that, let's do it if it works. Alt with the autofilter, Alt 8, doubtful total 19,000. Yes, it is 19. How about loss assets? Loss assets total 13,000. Yes, it is 13,000. So this is one formula which I use almost every day in all my Excel sheets so as to save my time on knowing each subcategory's total. Having understood this, let's move on to an extremely simple function which is literally a child's play, which is called the trim function. So the trim function, basically, as the name suggests, it trims or cuts down all the unnecessary spaces in your data, in your words. So, one thing about Excel is that whatever names or the formula which we have are almost self explanatory. And in fact, the syntax is also explained very well in it. So, when I talk about the trim function on your screen, you can see certain names. Left hand side, see the left hand side names. There is Ram, Akhil, Sachin, so on and so forth. So, if I click on F2 button, which is for edit, I've just highlighted the spaces which exists after the word Ram. Similarly, in Akhil, you can see with your eyes that on the left hand side there is a certain amount of gap which is left. And similarly, in Sachin, on the left, of course, there is space. But there is also space on the right hand side, which is definitely not visible to your eyes because it's all white. But if I just select it using shift and left arrow key, yes, it is there. So in almost every example, there are spaces somewhere or the other. So the syntax for this formula is equal to trim, bracket open, and you select your cell, bracket close, enter, done. Copy this elsewhere, everywhere else, done. The only one thing about this feature is, about this function is that it will not delete the space between two particular names. For example, in the case of Cristiano Ronaldo, there was space after Ronaldo, there was space before Cristiano, but there is a space between Cristiano and Ronaldo, which obviously did not need to be deleted, and this function definitely does not delete that. And in all other cases, all the unnecessary spaces towards the left and right have been successfully deleted. Having understood this, let's move on to another
Ma'am,
easy.
sometimes we have that comma in the, or we have this problem, the comma in the numeric numbers, or we have this problem in the numeric numbers that it's in the text form, or they are in the
Yeah,
center, or we have a comma in it.
yes. and the formula doesn't get it doesn't work on those numbers, right?
Yeah.
For that, I have covered that in the shortcut section itself, wherein you have to do paste special, apply, write zero elsewhere and paste special on that number. It gets converted into number.
Okay.
Okay. So trim is just to delete the unnecessary spaces. That's it. Because the formula again, even if it's a number and it has been copied from somewhere and it has spaces, the formula would not work.
No, no, sometimes there is an option of convert to number. But sometimes there is a problem that we have, for example, in figures of lakhs or crores, we have some, like in the text format, it comes that there is a comma in between. So you cannot remove the comma unless and until you click on that and then you remove the comma one by one.
What comma is it? I didn't understand.
For example, there is a figure of, say, for example, 1,43,000. So that's in text form. So while transferring data, the
Is how it
there
is?
is a comma with no 1 comma 43 comma. I mean the way it is written in, yeah, like
Okay.
this.
So for that you can simply do replace comma with nothing. So control H, find what comma. I understood what you meant. Replace with nothing. And you click replace all. So now this is a number format. Obviously I applied an apostrophe S.
Okay.
Yeah. This is what you said. This is
Mhm.
coming as an alphabet. So for this control H, find what comma, replace with nothing, replace all. Now this is a number. It will
Okay.
work. Yeah.
Okay.
Moving on to the next super duper easy functionality, which is kind of an artificial intelligence which already existed in Excel long, long ago, which is flash fill. So, this is nothing but Excel is going to understand certain examples that you give, and it is trying to understand the pattern and automatically do the same thing for other cells as well. For example, example number one is you have first name, you have last name in two different columns. Now, I want to create an email ID for all of them. So, the basic criteria in all the organizations is that there is first name followed by the last name and it has an at followed by the organization name. So, for that, let's try to do it and then understand. So, I want tanvi.sharma at ici.org. So, I write tanvi.sharma at ici.org. Now, I have a huge list with me in hand, and I don't want to waste my time typing it all manually and checking it over and over again. So, for that, I simply gave Excel one particular pattern, that first name, full stop, last name at ici.org. Now, I click on data and I click on flash fill over here, which is under the data tools ribbon. I click on flash fill. The moment I did this, with a click of a button, Excel automatically understood what the pattern was and it gave me the result within seconds. Example number two. So, first name and the last name are in two different columns. I want the entire name to be in one particular cell. So, for that, I just type it once Tanvi Sharma. In second one, I simply start typing it Virat. I just wrote VI. And if you observe the screen, other names are coming in light gray. And even the other name came automatically. When I click enter, the entire list has been created automatically. I did not have to do anything. Example number three. So I have three columns. You can even create sentences with this. So Tanvi laptops 15. I want to create a sentence say Tanvi bought 15 laptops. So this is my sentence. But I just have certain words out of that sentence. Let's see if flash fill works. So I write Tanvi bought 15 laptops full stop. I can use control E for elephant and check if it's working. So Virat bought 9 bags, yes. Virendra bought 12 keyboards, yes. So flash fill definitely works. So it's not limited to just creating email IDs or joining two things. It can even create sentences. It is just supposed to understand the pattern that you're giving, and it definitely works. Having understood these basics, let's move on to something a little technical which we use almost every day in our offices, which is the IRR, internal rate of return. So, for making things easy, I have almost everything ready on your screen, wherein I have mentioned cash outflows of year zero over here. I've written the PAT, I've written depreciation and interest, and the cash flows have been calculated beforehand only, which is nothing but column number 2 plus 3 plus 4 minus the outflow, which is PAT plus depreciation plus interest minus outflow. So, this is the column which you need to focus on. I have the cash outflows ready with me. And the second column which needs your attention is the year column. This is also necessary to make. Why? You will come to know later. So I've written year 0, 1, 2, 3 up to year 7. What you have to do is to calculate IRR, you simply write is equal to IRR, bracket open, and you select your cash flows, bracket close. Voila, it's done. Within a second, IRR is calculated. Gone are those days where you had to manually calculate two random percentages, find out a middle number, and then calculate again. No. Excel is going to help you understand IRR. With just one formula, you're able to calculate IRR. Now, how would I know if IRR is correct or not? Of course, I would cross check it using the discounting factor. So, for that, I have created discounted factor column and the discounted value on the right hand side, which is again formula based. So, for year 0, the discounting factor has to be 1. For year 1, if you think on pen and paper, it has to be is equal to 1 divided by 1 plus the percentage raised to the power year 1, year 2, year 3, so on and so forth. So we'll try to write that over here. So is equal to 1 divided by, which is the slash, bracket open, 1.21736, bracket close, raised to the power is written with shift and the 6 key on your keyboard. If you observe your keyboard, the 6 number has an inverted V, which is raised to the power. So shift 6 and then you write the year, which is 1. So I link it simply. Press enter, copy paste, done. The discounted value is the cash flow multiplied by the discounted value, discounting factor. This is all common in all the cells. So the answer is 0. Yes. So IRR is absolutely correct. How about I change the interest figure if it was not randomly? If it was not 10, it was just 1. Hypothetically, my IRR changed automatically. But my discounting factor is incorrect. Why? Because I wrote 1 divided by 1 point some other number. My IRR is changing all over again. So for that, what I can do is again redo the formula. I write is equal to 1 slash divided by bracket open 1.20953 bracket close, shift 6 for the raised to the power character, and then the year. I link it to the year. Enter, copy paste, and it's done. But what will happen with this is it will waste a lot of time. I will have to change my discounting factor over and over again. But because we are in this session and we are the smart people, we are going to learn a new technique, which is to automate that as well. So for year 0, discounting factor has to be 1, of course. For year 1, it has to be is equal to 1 divided by bracket open 1 plus this digit IRR, the cell containing the IRR percentage. You click on that, bracket close, raised to the power year 1, which is A8 cell, and I click enter. One small tweak, having done that, do this much only first. Click F2 to edit the cell, or you double tap it. Go back to the cell which refers to the IRR, and you click F4 key. Which what happens with this is that it freezes the IRR. So dollar before F, dollar before 16, it will just freeze it. Enter. And now you copy paste. The discounting factor, yes, it's correct. Let's change the interest figure again, say 1. I change another figure, say 59, and I bring this to 0.20. My IRR changed automatically, my discounting factor changed automatically, and my discounting value was also correct. So this is how the freezing factor hit. The original way that we were doing this thing was I was doing is equal to 1 divided by 1 plus the cell containing the percentage, which was 1 plus 22.938. Another time I would have done 1 plus 1.2036 or 1 divided by 1.3526. But this would have led to a lot of time wastage. So which is why I did is equal to 1 divided by 1 plus that cell which has IRR bracket close raised to the power the year. And in order to freeze a cell, you simply go around that cell number and you click F4. So your number as well as the alphabet gets frozen. Alternatively, you can manually type a dollar sign. But avoid doing it manually to avoid errors. Simply click F4 button. Having understood this, let's move on to something which we use almost every day in terms of concurrent audit or even statutory audit for that matter, which is converting text to columns. So on your screen you have this is the actual data from one of the banks wherein you have the account number followed by the account name. The first line 1111 is the sole ID followed by the account number and then the name, account balance, sanction limit, so on and so forth, ending till interest code. But this data is coming in two particular rows and it is not in one particular row. So if I have to apply any formula or I have to sort data or rather take out any samples, it is almost impossible to do it in it. Further, the lines that you are seeing on your screen, this is not coming in different columns. Everything is in just column number A on the left hand side. So if I click on any one of the lines and I observe the formula bar right from the account number till the last number, which is 3724, everything is coming in column A. If I click anywhere in column B over here, I see the formula bar, it's blank. I click anywhere else. I click on this number, say 10,000, 10 lakh. My formula bar is completely blank. Similarly, in another row, wherein I can see different dates and INTGs too as well, it would prima facie appear that this coming in column number I or F. But in reality, everything is in the left column, which is A. How I can cross check is I told you. I click on that cell and I check my formula bar. And if I click on any other cell, my formula bar is blank. So the first step would be to first combine these two different rows to make one particular running row. Okay. So right from account number till the code, everything comes in one particular row itself instead of coming in two rows. So for that, I apply a simple formula which is using the AND functionality. So I go to column number B. So where I have the headings, because this has to apply to the headings as well as the entire data. So wherever my first heading is coming, right next to that, I use this formula is equal to my left cell and the cell just below it. So account number cell and the sanction date cell, which is A2 and A3. So I combine them both and I press enter. If you observe the red screen, account number, account balance, so on and so forth, and if I go on the right hand side, it goes up till code. So it means two things have been joined together already. Having done this, I want this to be applied to the entire data set and not to the heading alone. So for that, I again go back to my A cell, which is the first cell. I select all my data, Control Shift down, apply the filter, Control Shift L. scroll down, Alt down key to click on that arrow, and in order to go to the search bar, click E elephant and you type the soul ID. In my case, it's 1111 and I press enter. What happens is when I did this, all the data which contained the account numbers got segregated only and not everything else. Now I copy this formula in the red, I scroll down and I select all the other cells and I click Alt colon, which is next to the L button, L alphabet on your keyboard. With this, only the cells which you see on the screen will get highlighted and nothing else. And now I click Ctrl V to paste the formula. It's done. So I can see from the original data, which you can see in the black containing two rows for a particular person, everything is sorted in one particular row here in the red. Having done this, I still cannot apply any formula in this collated data. Why? Because it's still not in one particular column. It's still not in different columns. Everything is still appearing in one column only. So we have to go one more step ahead, which is that you select this data, Control Shift down, Alt colon, you copy this and you paste it elsewhere. Observe my screen. I'm on cell A and I check my formula bar. Of course, everything is in A. I click B, column B, nothing in the formula bar. So now you select your data, use Alt AE. Having done this, text to column wizard is going to come on your screen. Go to fixed width, click next. So these lines are going to come on the screen, okay? These lines are nothing but the places where you want to apply the break or segregation. So you can simply click wherever you want to apply the line break. So I can click over here, I can click anywhere I want. I can click here. Accidentally, if I've clicked on any of the areas, I can simply double click on this column to remove it. For example, these two lines, these are two separate lines. So I double click on them to remove them. So you can quickly glance through this data in order to check whether your column segregator has come is at the right position or not. What happens is at times it can appear over here, thereby deleting the data which is coming on the right. So you have to just have a quick glance on the data. Click next. Now use the text format for account numbers because it's a 16-digit number. It will come in the scientific format or with the E alphabet if it's not sorted in the text format. For other columns, for example, account balance, you can just let it be. For other columns, say date, you can select the date format if you want to, and you click on finish. Having done that, you will observe that everything is coming in different columns. Now account number is in A, account name is in B, balance is in C, so on and so forth. Now you can do all the formulas on this particular sheet because everything is segregated and not coming in one particular column. I'll quickly repeat it for your reference. So go in column B, do is equal to A and the next cell A3, enter. Select your data, apply a filter, scroll down. In the search bar, you write the soul ID, copy paste this formula in those cells, Alt colon to just select these particular cells, pasting done. Now you do text to columns to this. So I'll just paste it in a different sheet to make it more clean. I select column A, which contains everything and not any other column. Alt AE, fixed width. Okay, next. I adjust the line breaks if I want to. I put text for general this thing. It was originally general. I put it as text. And for the date column, I just select that column and I'll click on date format and the format that I want. I click finish and it's done. I can adjust my cell width to see the data in a better way. Now, what ma'am was telling me was at times this comma comes into the picture. If I click on these cells, you will just not be able to see the total. If you look at the bottom of my screen, it says count 8. So it means these are not in the number format yet. For that, you can simply do one quick thing, which is Control H, H for Holland, find what, comma, replace with nothing. Don't write anything. And you click replace all. Okay, done. Now, if you select these cells, the total is definitely there. It says 36 lakhs. Similarly, for other functions, for other columns, if you select the data, this one is fine. The sanction limit, of course, it will not work. It says count. You have to repeat the same function in the sanction limit as well. Similarly, for account balance, it says count. It doesn't give the total. You can use this quick trick. Having done that, let's move on to the next functionality, which is the if function. As the name suggests, if is nothing but a condition. If a particular criteria is fulfilled, what is the result that you're going to give me? Is what Excel wants to know. So if we try to understand it in real life situation, we can say that if a person has achieved 50% marks, he has passed. If not, he fails. So this is what we are going to apply in Excel. So on your screen, you have again banking data in front of you, wherein the account number, the name of the borrower, the type of the loan, date of advance, sanction limit, DP, and balance outstanding is there on the screen. So basically, what I want is I want to use this to take out certain samples for my selection in case of an audit. What I want to do is, in case my minimum of the DP and the limit, the minimum of the two has to be compared with the balance outstanding. Okay, so stage one would be to find out the minimum between the limit sanctioned and the DP. Now I have to compare my outstanding balance with that achieved figure. Assuming limit and DP is the same, let's call it DP. So if my outstanding balance exceeds the DP, then it means that my limit is exceeded. If not, which is if my outstanding balance is less than my DP, it means I'm staying within the limit. I want the result should come that I'm within the limit. So the first this formula would have two steps, which is finding the minimum first and then using the if functionality. So the minimum function is equal to min bracket open the two cells out of which I want to know the minimum. And I close the bracket and I press enter. So this is stage one. In most of the cases, DP and limit power is the same. For example, in row number 9, it's different. So my formula is working. Minimum of 131 and 99 is 99, which is what the result came. Now, let's try to use the if functionality. So it goes is equal to if bracket open balance outstanding cell, so I simply click on that cell, is greater than the figure that we just achieved, comma, if it is outstanding, if the outstanding is more than that figure, then what? I want Excel to tell me that it exceeds. So in order to write any text, you have to put inverted commas. So my formula is equal to if bracket open outstanding is greater than this figure, minimum figure, comma, you should prompt that it is exceeding. So I write comma and I put inverted commas, and I write exceeds, inverted commas closed, comma, the syntax is coming right on the screen. Value if false. If it is false, I mean, it means that if your outstanding is not greater than this figure, what is going to happen? If it is false, Excel should prompt within the limit. So that's what I'm going to write. Inverted commas open, within limit, bracket close, enter. I can copy paste this everywhere. Having done that, I can simply filter out which all are the limits where the balance outstanding is exceeding. So these are few cases, and these definitely would add up to my sample. So this is one way that you can find out samples in your database when you're doing an audit. Let me add both the formulae and make one formula. So the criteria would be is equal to if, bracket open, outstanding is greater than minimum of, so greater than minimum, bracket open, of these two, bracket close, comma, value if true. If it exceeding, what happens? You have to give, if it's true, the value has to be exceeded. So I click comma and I write exceeded in inverted commas. Exceeds, inverted comma close, comma, value if false. If it is false, what should come? Inverted comma open, within limit, inverted comma close, bracket close, enter. Same thing, and I copy paste. Option 1 is to put two different formulae. Option 1, another option is to just write one formula, which is a little complex. So those who find it difficult to learn and cram formula, you can always segregate it into two formulae. So which is equal to minimum of 2, and writing is equal to if my balance outstanding is greater than this resultant figure, comma, value if true, comma, value if false, and you press enter. Having understood this, let's move on to a little complicated thing. As you can see on the screen, this is the formula, this huge formula. Let's understand this formula logically. Let's not cramp it, let's not copy paste it. Let's understand how Excel works, how the logic works. So on your screen, you have certain dates like 1 Jan 2025, Feb 21, so on and so forth. Or you have another format of the dates like 1 2020, 25 02 21, so on and so forth. What I want to do is I want to know the financial year in which these dates come into. So for that, I have this huge formula which I used. Okay, we'll understand it and break it into smaller parts to understand first. For that, let's understand small formula first, which is finding out a month and a year from a particular date. Observe the right hand side of the screen, column number NOP highlighted. So there's a random date which is 1st August 2020. In order to understand the formula, month formula, what we do is we simply write is equal to month, bracket open, and we select that cell, bracket close, enter. This is how the month gets determined. Similarly, for the year function, we write is equal to year, bracket open, we select this cell, bracket close, enter. So the month and year are segregated with a click of a mouse. Okay. Now, another formula which comes into the play is the OR function. OR function is nothing but Excel tells you either this condition or that condition or another condition is being fulfilled or not. It comes as true or false. So, part 1 of the formula is to first determine whether the month which is coming is Jan, Feb, or March. If it's Jan, Feb, or March, then the financial year would be whatever year is coming over here minus 1 and ending with this particular year itself. That is to say, if try to understand with left hand side first date, which is 1st of Jan 2020, if my month is Jan, Feb, or March, then what? Then Excel, please give me the result as financial year beginning from the year which is coming in this date minus 1 year, which is 2020 minus 1, which is 19, and ending with what? 2020. So this is the basic logic. And what if it's not being fulfilled? If it's not Jan, Feb, or March, if say it is say April, then what? If it's April, for example, say it's November on your screen, the second yellow cell. If it's November, then Excel is going to tell me the financial year as whatever year is coming in this particular date and ending with this year plus 1 year. So November 2004 would fall in financial year 4-5. So let's understand it with the formula now. And as I said before, we'll understand the OR formula first, which is equal to OR bracket open month bracket open of this cell equal to 1 comma month bracket open of this cell bracket close is equal to 2 comma month bracket open this cell bracket close equals to 3 and bracket close. It says it's true. Let's cross check with some other cells. So Jan, Feb, March initial cells. Yes, it's true. Feb, true. November, it's false. So my formula is working perfectly fine. So simply saying the OR formula is equal to OR month of this cell equal to 1, comma, the second criteria month of this cell equals to 2, comma, third criteria which is month of this cell equals to 3. Having understood this, let's move on to the main formula, which is trying to determine the actual financial year. So we'll start with the if functionality, which is equal to if bracket open or let me break it down. Let's keep it more simple and put it into three particular columns. So we write the first formula is or bracket open month bracket open this cell is month equals to 1 comma month of this cell equals to comma month this cell equals 3 bracket close. Basic formula done. Whether it's true or not, I have asked Excel. So it is giving me the answer whether it's true or not. I'll just highlight the cells which says false. I hope you can see it. So all those yellow in the top row, they are all true, followed by false. First part done. Let's do the if function now. Is equal to if bracket open this condition, whatever it says. If this is fulfilled, which was 1, 2, or 3 is happening, then what? Then you tell me year bracket open this cell's years minus 1, and in order to put a hyphen you put inverted commas dash inverted commas close, and what else? We want year of this particular cell, year bracket open this particular cell and bracket close. So if you observe, I'll just put some space bar for you to break it down further. So my formula is equal to if this thing is fulfilled, which is if the month is 1, 2, 3, then what? If it's Jan, Feb, or March, How does a financial year happen? 1 year before and ending with this year only, which is coming in this particular date. So I write is equal to if this thing is fulfilled, then comma first year, if it's true, what is going to happen is what you're going to write. So if B5, which is my true thing, is fulfilled, comma, give me the answer as follows, which is year of this cell, year bracket A5, and close the bracket minus 1, and put a hyphen as well. So in order to put any particular text, you have to put it in quotation marks. So I write and quotation marks dash, and you end it with a quotation mark. And what? And you put the year which is coming over here. So year minus 1 and year. And you press enter. I'll just remove the extra spaces. Done. Now half of the formula is done. What if it's false? It will not give the result because I have not given it the entire result. If the condition is not fulfilled, what is going to come on the screen? Because Excel did not know, it simply said false. So we'll tweak this formula a little more. First part is done. Now you put comma. Okay. Now if it is false, that is to say if the year is not Jan, Feb or March, then you are supposed to give me that year followed by a hyphen, and then this the year which is coming in my date plus one more year. So value if false is being highlighted on the screen. So I write year of my cell and hyphen, so quotation marks, hyphen, quotation open close, and this year, sorry, year bracket open, this particular cell plus 1, and now you close the bracket, enter, copy paste. Let's check if it's right. November 2004. It is 2004-5. Yes. Jan 20. Is it 1920? Yes, it is. Let's see if the formula works in another date format. Although it's done, let's still copy paste. Even if it's coming alphabetically like 1 Jan 20 or 1 oblique 1, it will still work. I could not do copy paste because obviously the cell reference is according to the date on the left hand side. But I've already done it beforehand. I've already written the exact formula over here. If or month of this particular cell equals to 1, 2, 3, bracket close, here you're supposed to give me the answer as the year minus 1 and a hyphen, and along with that year itself. If not, give me that year followed by a hyphen followed by year plus 1. So it works. In order to complete the entire formula in just one particular cell, all you have to do is just combine these two things. So I write is equal to if, and I simply copy paste this formula that I wrote. Okay. So if bracket open, and it's done. I do understand it is a little lengthy and not too complicated though, but if you try to understand the logic, I'm sure you will be able to write it all by yourself. You will not need to cram this formula also. You can quickly take a screenshot of it and practice on your screen at your convenience. So just to understand the logics, how Excel works, and how you can actually use it as per your customization. I'll just take a breather till the time you take a screenshot. We'll be moving on to the VLOOKUP and the pivot along with the slices in the coming slides.
Yes, this is a heavy formula, though I've also
It is
taken a picture so that I don't.
you
But if we
one way.
apply it few times, then only, I mean, 4 5 times, then only we can,
100%. Even it's just about the usage. Obviously, you will not be able to understand in one go. One way, of
Mhm.
course, is to copy paste, but once you learn the logic behind it, you would really love it.
Yes.
Anyway, let's move on to the next topic, which is a little dreaded topic these days, which is VLOOKUP. I've just simplified the database for you to understand the logic behind it. Of course, you can get into complications and go on to HLOOKUP, you can go on to other lookup X lookup as per your Excel version. But I'm just trying to tell you the basics. So on your screen, you have the database which has the employee IDs, their names, the places, and their salaries. What I want is from a huge database containing lakhs and lakhs of employees, I want the information pertaining to a particular employee ID. For example, because on your screen you're just able to see a particular table only of hardly say 20 people or so. What if this data had 500 employees? And I had to fetch the data pertaining to employee ID 2770 along with others. I could not, of course, put the filter and copy paste it. It would have led to errors and a lot of wastage of time, which is where VLOOKUP comes super duper handy. I used VLOOKUP today itself in the morning, and it's a part of everyday life now. So, VLOOKUP helps you to pick up information about a particular cell from a huge database with simply a formula. And of course, it will help you to save a lot of time. And instead of doing things manually, you'll be able to thank Excel for this formula. One thing you have to keep in mind about VLOOKUP is that the value has to be on the right hand side. It will not pick up the value which exists on the left hand side. So, for that, for making things easy for you, you can always place your answer on the right hand side. It doesn't mean that this answer, what you're finding, has to be right, has to be on the right. It means the information that you want has to have an answer to the right. For example, 2770, if it's my employee ID, his answers or his values have to come on the right hand side because VLOOKUP works on right from left to right. Second thing that you have to be careful about is if there's a duplicacy in data. For example, instead of employee ID, I had to find information based on the names. So, in case of duplicacy of data, it will give you the information which comes first. So, this is one drawback in VLOOKUP, which does not exist in XLOOKUP. So there can be employees who have the same names. For example, Madhav is the first person. There could be n number of Madhavs in the company, but the employee ID would be, of course, unique. So depending on your case, in my case, VLOOKUP works and it works brilliantly, and my work is solved. My purpose is solved. So for that, what we have to do is on the right, I've just placed the headings on your screen. I want the information pertaining to 2770 right on my screen along with the other employee IDs. Okay. So let's follow Mango Man approach, which is Control Shift L, drop down, you write over here and you copy paste. Next time again you use this formula, you write 2768, copy paste this and that. Time waste. Let's use VLOOKUP on the right side. Okay. So you write is equal to VLOOKUP. So I have to write is equal to VLO only, and the formula is coming. I press tab. I save time here itself. So is equal to VLOOKUP, comma, the lookup value is this thing 2770 in my search criteria. So this is my table, comma, table array is the entire table set which is on my left hand side. So I select entire table, comma, column index number. So column index number is you have to manually calculate and not on the basis of what is coming on Excel. For example, this is B, C, and D. So you would say this is 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it's not that. According to what you've selected, you are supposed to select the column number. So column number would be employee ID is 1, name is 2, place is 3, salary is 4. So in my case, the column number would be, for name would be column number 2. I write 2, comma, range lookup. You have to write it as true or false. So I'll write false and I close the bracket. False is for exact match. So basically, when you are doing something in a range like 1000 to 2000, if it's data containing a particular range, then you are supposed to use true. Otherwise, usually in my case particularly, it's false. And I copy this elsewhere and you check what happens now. You see what is happening. Sometimes it says NA. In other cases, it is giving me the answer. Now, why it says NA is because if I click F2 in some other cell, observe left hand side. My cell range changed. I clicked on the third, fourth person, cell range changed. 2765, cell range changed. It's going down, 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 down. So I intentionally did not change the formula because I wanted you to know what error we did. What we did was we were supposed to lock this particular table, rather freeze this table. So for that, as I said before, simply press F4. Before E, I write I press F4, or I could write dollar before E and before 18 and before B and before 4 also. And I press enter. Now I copy paste, enter. Done. Let's check if 2765 is actually mother. Here. Yes, it is. 2771 Akshat. Yes, it is. 2767 Oscar. Yes, it is. So my formula is working perfectly fine. How about I want to know the place and salary as well? Let's see if copy paste works. Copy this, paste here. Does it work? No. Why? Because again the same thing happened. My cell reference changed. NA means that it's not found, okay? So I do F2. If I check the formula, it says we look up this cell H5. Whereas I didn't want to look this up. In this entire database, in column number 2, column number 2 is names and give me the false. So this formula is not correct. So I write the formula again just to revise it again is equal to VLOOKUP bracket open my cell comma in which array, this array, left hand side, comma column number would be 1 2 3 3 comma false. And again I forgot to freeze my table, so I do F2. I go back to the cell which I want to freeze. I press F4. Both the row and column gets frozen. And I click F2, F4 again. Copy paste. Does Shreyan pertain to Ludhiana? Yes, he does. Is Madhav living in Indore? Yes, he is. Similarly, what we can do is instead of writing this formula over and over again, we can simply put a dollar behind G, which means your G is frozen. Column number G gets frozen, not the number. Let's see if it works. It says I just did copy paste on the right hand side. Remember when we did original copy paste? It moved the cell reference from G to H over here. And now when I did copy paste, my original G cell did not move. Why? Because it was frozen using the dollar sign. Again, I did not press F4, but I just wrote dollar sign manually. Okay. In my original formula itself, only G was frozen. So when I copied and pasted it, my cell got frozen, which had to be looked upon, comma, the range was already frozen, comma, just the column name number needs to be changed. So in my case, it has to be column number 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I write 4. This is the only tweak. Instead of writing everything from the beginning, I just had to change the column number. and I paste it. So let's see if Akshat's salary is actually 34. Yes, it is. And the answer is absolutely correct. Having done this, one thing which I wanted to you to know was that, as I said, the column number has to be as per your table. So if I see logically, I intentionally kept column A as blank. So if you see my formula, it says we look up this G cell in this database and the column number is 2. If a layman sees this, he would say obviously the column number is 1, 2, and 3. C comes in C. C comes in number 3, so it has to be 3. Whereas we chose 2 because we have to see the column number as per our selection. So, for example, if the columns, these two particular columns were chosen only, if I had to look up between these two things only, okay? So my database would have said the column number was 1 and 2. Let's do it quickly on the right side, okay? So I want to know, mm, yeah, let's write some numbers here. So I write is equal to V lookup this cell, comma, in this range, comma, column number. Column number for example, salary would be 1, 2, and 3. 3 in my case, comma, false. Bracket close. If I forgot to put the dollar sign, I can always press F2 within the formula itself and go back. F4, F4, copy paste. Let's see if it's working. 272770. Salary is 43554. Yes, it is matched. Let's see 277134. Yes, it is. So everything has matched, which shows that the column number, of course, has to be not as per what Excel is saying. Logically speaking, E would have come as column number 5. But in reality, in my case, it was column number 1 as per my selection. So having done all of this, let's move on to something pictorial, which is the pivot table. Pivot table is nothing but a pictorial view of huge data, which is difficult to read and difficult to understand. On your screen, again, there is banking data, which has a lot of information. For example, account number, the name, the type of loan, date of advance, DP, limit, balance outstanding, so on and so forth. One particular column that I've added myself is the year column, just to make things easy for you when we come on to the pivot table. So for this, I have a very beautiful shortcut for you to understand this because my name is Priya and I am dashing as well. So you have to remember the formula as Alt DPF, dashing Priya fantastic. Okay, this is how you're going to remember the shortcut. And whenever you use the shortcut for pivot table, you would always remember me. Yes, Priti ma'am, go ahead.
Manika, sure, sure, definitely. That's a very nice way to remember.
Of course.
Thanks for
The new mnemonic of the day.
yeah, and it suits you also.
Thank you. Okay. So coming on to the topic of pivot table, simply select your data, Control Shift down and Control Shift D. Use Alt DPF, which is the shortcut to create a pivot table. Now the screen is going to a small pop-up is going to come on your screen. Pivot table fields, it says. Yeah. Now simply select the type of things that you want to come on your screen. At first, it will be definitely difficult for you to understand what is moving where, but you can simply click on this. You can click on the check mark to help you create the pivot table, and Excel is going to help you create one all by itself as well. So in my case, because pivot table is here, I used this particularly when I was doing a statutory audit, wherein I wanted to enter all the samples that I had chosen. So what I did was I put a pivot table on this particular data itself, and I segregated the data on the basis of account numbers and the balances that they had and the number of accounts that they were. And I simply put that in my data set wherein I specified what all samples I had chosen. So when you click select your data and you do Alt DPF, which is dashing Priya Fantastic, you click on the particular items that you want to come in the pictorial view. In my case, it is the type of account. So I click on this. I want the balance outstanding. So I click on this. If you see, Excel automatically put it in the values column. And if I want it again to come, I simply drag and drop wherever I want it. So if I want to put the date of advance in the row, you can put that as well, but this is not necessary. So in order to take it back, I either drop it back or I click on the tick mark again. It'll go away. Now, having dragged and dropped the things, what I want is, because my outstanding balance is coming twice, I want one particular field to show me the quantum and not just the value. Okay. So my rows shows the particular type of asset. My value column over here shows the sum of the outstanding. Another column which I use to drag and drop over here was the balance. I clicked it 3 times and it is coming 3 times. So in order to remove it, you can simply click on this field also and click on remove field, or simply click on this tick mark. Now I have this ability to change my settings so as to show things as per my convenience. So in the value column, if you click on this drop down and you click on value field settings, observe the drop down, observe the pop-up which comes. Now I want it to come in the number format. So I click on count and I click OK. What happens with this is, I come to know that AGRLA has just one account, which has a balance of 60. Similarly, CC has 3 accounts, whose balance is 917. Now my CCKCC has 11 accounts, which have a balance of 1738. Let's do it one more time, okay? Select your database, Alt DPF. So pivot always gets created on the left hand side of your sheet. I click on type of account. I can also drag and drop in the rows. I click on balance outstanding in the values. I drop it one more time. And now I want to change the field settings. I click on this. I click on the drop down. I click on value field settings and I choose count. I click OK and the count comes. In order to change the field name, of course, I can change it. When you click on this particular pivot table and you click on the Analyze tab, you're able to see certain settings, active field settings. Over here, you can write count or you can write number of accounts. Enter. Makes things a little more easy to read. Similarly, instead of sum of balance outstanding, you can change the field settings. Simply click inside your pivot table and over here, instead of sum of balance outstanding, I want to write balance outstanding only. Enter. Done. It makes the data much more appealing now. Now, having done this, do you know you can even add slices to this pivot table, which is nothing but you can it's nothing but applying a filter to this pictorial data itself. So from this data, which was humongous, and you could not make out as to how many type of accounts existed in which type of category, to this data, I believe it is a meaningful data and much more easy to understand and feed. So to insert your slices, you click anywhere inside the table and you click on the Analyze tab. and you click on Insert Slicer under the filter ribbon. Now you can choose the type of slices you want. N number of slices, they will come as per the headings. So I can just click on year. I can click on, say, limit sanctioned. I can click on, say, priority, non priority. For the timing, I'll just select 3 and I click OK. Now I can also change the colors of these slices. When I click on this, I can choose anything from the design tab. Over here, slices styles. Now I have 3 slices ready. Now when I click on 2015, all the data comes right on my screen. If I click on priority, or non-priority for that matter, the data pertaining to non-priority sector came on my screen. If I click on, say, limit sanctioned, any random figure, the data got segregated with a click of a mouse. And if I observe all the slices together, when I click on 1000, all the others get highlighted automatically. It pertains to priority sector, it pertains to 2019. In order to clear this, you can simply click on this clear filter on the top right. So randomly, if I want to check 2018 data, it pertains to priority sector over here, having all these sanctions. In order to delete the slices, you just simply click on this rectangle and you press the delete button. Simply. Having understood this, let's move on to the conditional formatting, which is very colorful and interesting as well. You can definitely use it in your organizations when you're presenting data. And what happens with conditional formatting is that you're able to format the cells as per the conditions that you give Excel. For example, if the difference between, say, debit and credit, as written in the example number 1, is 0, it will come in the green. So instead of actually looking into the figures, I can look into the colors and understand what the data is trying to say. Let's understand it with certain examples. Example number 1 is on the extreme left. We have debit, credit balances, and the difference, which is the difference between two cells. What I want Excel to do is, if the difference between debit and credit is 0, just make sure that the cell color is green so that I'm tension free. And if it is not 0, if it is any other number other than 0, make sure that you prompt it in red to me. So for that, I will make use of this functionality, which is conditional formatting. What I have to do is go to the Home tab, click on Conditional Formatting, and my selection of the cell would be where I want the answer to come. So Home, Conditional Format, and I go to the New Rule. Okay, not the new rule, rather there's a predefined formula. So I go to Home tab, Conditional Formatting, highlight cell rules, equal to, and I write 0. What should the color be? So I click on With, and I can always choose from these pre-filled things, or I can do custom format. I click on the Fill tab, I choose green, and I click OK. OK, done. So let's change the figures. If it's not 0, it's white. If it's 0, again it's coming green. So my conditional formatting is working. Now, what if the difference is not 0? It should come in red color. So for that, because there is no preset format in conditional formatting, I'll have to give this particular formula to Excel. So I go to the Home tab, Conditional Formatting, and I click on New Rule. Scroll down to the last option which says Use a formula to determine which cells to format. This is a cell wherein you can use to put your own particular formula, your own conditions. Now, under the Format values where this formula is true. Over here, you click the cell and you choose the cell where the answer is coming and you write not equal to. How do you write not equal to is that you put less than greater than sign together. Okay. So the formula is equal to this cell, my answer cell, not equal to 0. And the format, you click on the format is red. And I click OK. I click OK again. I did some goof up. 1 minute. Formula. Formula. This applies to C5. Okay. Yeah. 150. So if the difference is 0, it is green. If it's not 0, it is coming in red. So this is how the formatting has to be done. Now, what if I have to make certain changes in the formula or I did some mistake, or rather, I don't want this coloring to come at all. I just did it accidentally or I just did it for fun. So what I can do is I can clear these rules as well. So when I go to home, conditional formatting, I click on clear rules from the selected cells, and it's gone. Alternatively, you can go to conditional formatting, manage rules. Over here, under the drop down, you can choose this worksheet and all the formula will appear over here and you can always delete the rule. Example number 2 to use this conditional formatting is to highlight the duplicate values. So we have certain invoice numbers and their values. If you observe closely, invoice number 1 is duplicate over here, the first cell and somewhere in the middle. Similarly, there could be other invoices as well. For example, number 1 is coming right here in the end. Now, by looking at the screen, of course, I would not know if there is duplicacy or not. So, what I can do is use Excel to help me highlight those cells where the duplicate value comes. So, for that, simply select your cells. Now, go to conditional formatting, highlight cell values, go to duplicate values, and you can choose from the drop down whatever you want, say yellow, and you click OK. Having done that, you're able to see the duplicate invoices. Now you can apply a filter, Control Shift L, scroll down using Alt down, and then you filter by color. Now you know. Now you can do whatever you want with these invoices, delete them or whatever. Example number 3 is that you want to delete the duplicate invoices that you just saw in the previous slide. So, a functionality which comes into picture is to remove the duplicates. For that, you select your data range, you click on data, and you click on remove duplicates. When you do that, a pop-up comes. It says which column. So I have just one column, so I have to select invoice number. And I click OK. Just observe the screen. Invoice number 1 is coming 3 times. It is the exact same list which was on the left hand side. And I click OK. Now, what happens is number 1 was coming thrice and now it's just coming once. All other invoices were, of course, unique. Another alternative or a quicker way to do is to use the shortcut key, which is Alt AM. Alt AM. The pop up comes and you click OK. Done. So, this is how you can use the shortcut to remove the duplicates from your list. Having understood this, let's move on to more examples of conditional formatting, which is on the left hand side, example number 4. We'll use very simple basic things of conditional formatting that I want to highlight the cells whose value is say greater than 7,000. Okay. So for that, option number 1 is of course that I use the filter option, Control Shift L, Scroll down and I write number filters greater than 7,000. I press enter and I color them. This option is definitely there. But you can use conditional formatting, wherein you select your data, home, conditional formatting, highlight cell values greater than, you write 7,000. And you can always choose the colors as I said. You can choose custom format and let's see, choose blue and you click OK. Having done that, now just looking by the screen, you know these are the few cells. I could of course filter out according to the color also. Similarly, you can use this condition to highlight the cells which are less than say any other value. So same thing, home conditional formatting, highlight less than or between, equal to, so on and so forth. Interesting example is example number 5, which involves certain technical aspects. So on your screen, you can see current year and previous year expenses are there. Now, conditional formatting has to be used in a way that when your current year expense is greater than your previous year expense, the color should come in red. Whereas, if your current year expense is less than the previous year expense, it should come in green. It means it's a good to go thing. No worries. So, we can use conditional formatting over here. So, simply put your cursor on the cell where you want to apply this format to. Go to conditional formatting under the home tab and you click on the new rule because there's no preset format. Use the formula, which is the last option. Now, over here, the formula would be when you click over here, simply select this first cell, which is current year. F5 and dollar and everything is coming on its own. So, my current year greater than the next cell, previous year. What should come? If it's greater, the format should be red. That's it. Okay, done. Okay. Is it coming red? Yes, it is. But if it's less, it has to come in green. So I go to conditional formatting. I put another rule. Last one. My cell is less than the previous cell. It has to come in green. Okay. Done. Let's see if it's working. 15 lakhs current year. It's greater, red, yes. If it's 1 rupee, it is less, it should come green. Yes, it's working. Now, in order to copy this formula everywhere else, there's a small editing which you need to do in the formula. So you go to conditional formatting and you go to manage rules. Okay. Now, instead of current selection, you can use this worksheet also, but I would stick to this current section because I want the formatting for my section only and not the entire sheet. It might have other conditions as well. So now over here, you simply click on the rule and you click on edit rule. Remove the dollar before the number. Okay. Remove it before the 5 so that just F is frozen. Similarly, only G has to be frozen. Click OK. In the second formula also, you edit the rule. In the format, only the alphabet has to be frozen. Okay. Click OK. Now we click OK again. Now you have to copy and paste it in all the other cells. So copy, Control C, you select the other cells, Control Alt V, victory, which is paste special. Here you click on formats and you press OK. Let's see if it's true or not. Is 20,000 greater than 6,000? Yes, it's red. 15 lakhs greater? Yes, red. 20 is less? Yes, green. 62 whatever it is greater? Yes, it's red. 55 less? Yes, green. Let's tweak the figures and see if it works. Let's put it as again 20 rupees. It should go green, the second row. It's going green. Third one, 1 rupee. Yes, going green. Again 1 rupee. Yes, going green. Let's put it as 20 lakhs. Red, yes. 15 lakhs. Yes, red. Let's say this goes up to 2 lakhs. This is just random figure that I'm putting. Enter. Red, yes. It's all working. The only clever thing that we had to do was to just freeze the F and the G, not the numbers. And you have to do paste special. And under that, you have to click on formats. This option. So moving on to example number 6 and 7, which is that I want to highlight the top 10 performers of the day, wherein in the list you have the name and their sales. I want to highlight the top performers, okay? So I select my data, I go to conditional formatting and I click on highlight cell rules. Sorry, not on the highlight, I click on top bottom and I click on top 10 and or I click on bottom 10, either of them. And I click OK. So my cells are automatically highlighted. Now, what can be done better with the data is to put a data kind of a format in the particular cell itself, wherein you are able to understand the movement or you're able to compare the data within the entire database. This is where the data bars come into the picture. Now, if you try to understand the same example, I've selected the database, conditional formatting, and I click on data bars. Okay. Having done that, if you observe, there are certain bars which are made within the cell. Now, what is happening is, with respect to the total, these data bars have come. So, if I put the grand total of all these cells, all these data bars are coming as a percentage of that grand total. Because the bars are coming too big or so, you can edit that as well to make it look a little more presentable. So for that, go to conditional formatting and manage rules as usual. Now click on edit rule. Under the minimum and maximum, you can always choose a number. Okay. So the number for maximum I can say would be 62,000 and the minimum would be 0. And I click OK. If you observe Tavisha, originally Tavisha's bar was complete. This is the original. And when I changed it, Tavisha's bar reduced. So you can always tweak the figures so as to make the data look a little more presentable. Having understood this, let's move on to something more pictorial, which is using the icon sets. For that, you select your data, go to conditional formatting, and you go to icon sets, okay? And you select these arrows or these shapes. I would choose the arrows. Now, instead of literally going into the numbers, I can easily fetch the data as to who is performing well and who is not. But what does red, yellow, and green mean? What does yellow mean? I don't know that. I can understand that when I click on conditional formatting and manage rules. This worksheet. When I click on this worksheet, all the conditional formatting comes. So I have to understand which is which. So I know the icon sets. It applies to N5 to N17. So I know this is my formula. And I click on edit rule. It says green comes when your value is greater than equal to 67%. Yellow comes when your value is less than 67, but equal to or greater than 33%. And the red comes when the performance is less than 33%. So understanding the particular icon is what you can do using the edit manage rules option. Okay. So basically by default, these are the settings. You can always change it if you want to. Having done that, let's move on to something a little more easy, because we have some other things lined up as well, which I really want to cover up. I'll choose the easy topic right now, which is the data validation. Basically, we use it in our day to day lives to create lists. Usually, it can be used for other things as well. For example, if you're filling up certain forms, you must have seen a certain drop down comes wherein you can choose between two, three options. This is where the data validation is being applied. Or when you type in something which is forbidden, for example, phone number column is there wherein you are supposed to mention your number, say 1 2 3 4 5, but inadvertently or intentionally you're trying to enter the alphabets like A B C D. A prompt comes, something in red, and at times it's an alert, at times it gives you the guidance as well. This is where the data validation is used again. Do you know you can always customize the message which comes on your screen, the prompt that comes? This is all being done in the data validation tab itself. So let's try to understand the basic version of data validation first. So data validation basically, in my case, in example number one, what I want to do is basically I need to understand with respect to the clients whether the fees has been received or is pending, or if not the fees, let's say the work, if it's pending, if it's done, or is it under process. Let me take three things that I want the answer to be in. So for that, I simply select the cell where I want these three things to come. Okay, in my case it's everywhere. So I select the entire database, I go to the data tab, I click on data validation. Now over here under the allow, click on list. My source would be the three reasons: pending, done, under process. Ignore the sentence case that I'm using. We are just trying to understand the thing. Under process. And I click OK. Now, if you observe, there's a small drop down. I can always choose between these three things only. So my thing is pending or it's done. Even if I want two things, as I said, for the fees, whether it is received or pending, obviously I can put two things instead of three. Similarly, for Aman, I can choose between these three things. What if my employer wants to write the status that I am doing it? Let's see if it allows you to. So for Ashil, it says I am doing it. And I press enter. A prompt comes which says that the value you entered is not valid, user has restricted it. So it will not allow you no matter what you do. You have to mandatorily enter these three things only. Now, in order to remove it, simply select your data again, data, data validation, and you click on clear all. Or alternatively, you can click on allow and you can click on any value. And you click OK. It's done and it's gone. Now you can write, I am doing it. You can do whatever you want to. Now, in example number 2, in the center of your screen, I want this drop down list to give me the client names in the drop down menu itself. I don't want to write it myself. So for that, I use the same thing. I go to data, data validation, under the data tools ribbon, and under the allow, I go to the list. The source, when I click on source would be my entire original data set. I'm just using drag and drop. And I click OK. Now, if I click on this cell, starting from Priya till Puneet, it's all there. I need not type it over and over again. Alternatively, Because I don't want to do this cumbersome process of selecting the entire database, I can always name my range, which is I select my cells, and over here, where near the formula bar, where there is a name box which says B4, in your case, it might say A4 or whatever. I can always name this list, say list, and I press enter. Now, what happens is that this particular list has been named as list. So, whenever I want to make a cell reference, instead of manually selecting B4 till Puneet, which is B17, I can simply use equal to list. Let's see if it works in this cell, a new cell. So, I go to data, I go to data validation, allow list, the source will be equal to list. Click OK. Make sure the name is exact. When I did that, again the list is here, starting from Priya till Puneet. Example number 3. I think I have already covered it in example number 1 and 2. Example 3, let's skip the example number 3 because I've covered the basics. One interesting thing which I just incorporated for this presentation was adding line breaks in a particular cell itself. So on your screen, you can see certain names like Priya, Virat, and Ishan. These are 3 names. What I want to do is my output has to be in the center of your screen. This is the output that I want, but in one cell itself. There is absolutely no way where you can use this feature. You cannot use the AND functionality or concatenate, which is where the functionality of AND car comes into picture. What you have to do is you have to write is equal to my cell and characters short version bracket 10 bracket close and this cell and having written this, you are supposed to do wrap text under the home tab. When you do this, the list comes like this. I'll repeat it. It is equal to first cell and char 10. This is a particular number which has been assigned, so it has to be used this way only. So is equal to first cell and character 10 and this cell and character 10 and my cell, the last cell. And then you have to home and wrap text. Having understood this, almost heading towards the end, let's move on to the what if analysis. Basically, as the name suggests, scenario manager is basically nothing but you are giving the input to Excel as to what are the different scenarios, and Excel is going to give you the final version, the final output under different scenarios. So on your screen, you have certain quantity of data along with the selling price and the cost and the final profit. What I want Excel to do is under different conditions, which is when the quantity is 100, 200, 300, so on and so forth, give me the output. Option 1 is to manually change it every time and waste my time. Option 2 is to use the what if analysis. So basic formula has already been put in place, which is revenue minus cost is the profit. Now what I want to do is I go to the data tab, I go to what if analysis under the data tools, and I click on scenario manager. I click on add Scenario name is quantity is 200. Okay. Changing the cell. Which cell you want to change? I want to sell C4, which is my quantum. And I click on OK. Now, in the pop up which comes, it says enter the value for each of the changing cells. It says give me the changed cell. So C4 has to be 200. And I click OK. I add another scenario which is quantity is 300. Changing cell C4 has to be changed. OK. Enter the value for C4. It has to be 300. OK. Two things done. Now, when I click on show, whatever I've clicked on will get displayed in the background itself. In order to get back, you're supposed to click on Control Z. I go back to Scenario Manager and I click on Summary because it's already fed. Now I click on the Summary tab. The result cell would be the profit cell, which is C12. And I click OK. A new sheet comes, which comes behind my actual sheet. So it gives me the summary right on the screen. It says quantities 200 and 300. By changing some cell, which says 100, 200, 300, the resultant is 1225. Now, if I'm an onlooker, I would definitely not know what is C4, what is C5. I have absolutely no idea. Even if you're presenting it to someone, of course, he would also not know what the final result is, what the cells are. For this, what you are supposed to do is, let's get back to the original screen. What you're supposed to do is, you're supposed to name this cell as we did before in the name box. So you go to the C4, simply click on it, and instead of C4, you type its name as quantity. Enter. For profit, because these were the two relevant cells, I simply click on this cell. I click on profit. I write profit in the name box adjacent to the formula bar. And I click enter. Now let's do it again, okay? Data, what if analysis, scenario manager, summary, resultant is okay. So my summary is perfectly fine. Quantity is 200, 300, current value is the original, quantity this way, profit this way. This is what I wrote for the scenario, which is quantities 200 and 300, which I highlighted in red. Let's move on to another section of what if analysis, which is goal seek. This option helps you, as I've written on the screen, achieve a particular goal by changing all other values. For example, my target is to achieve a profit of rupees 5,000. But what should be my selling price is not what I know. Of course, when you're doing it on paper, you would obviously do the reverse calculation, and we are intelligent enough to do that. But we want the system to help us do that. We want Excel to help us in this. So for that, we make use of this what if analysis, the goal seek option. Now, go to the data tab, click on what if analysis, and you click on goal seek. Now it says set the cell value. You're supposed to set the profit to how much? 5,000. By changing what? I have to change selling price. And I click OK. It says your selling price is supposed to be this 69 point something so as to achieve the profit of 5,000. Now, if you click on OK, it will keep the result as this. But if you click cell, your original database will come into the picture. This can also be used to change other criteria, for example, the cost, the quantity, so on and so forth. Let's try to understand the last segment of the what if analysis, which is the data table. Remember what did in the scenario manager? This is more or less the same, but a little advanced and a better version of that thing. Now we have quantity, same example, quantity, selling price, cost, and the profit. I want a better version instead of manually entering different scenarios that what if quantity is 200, 300, 400, so on. I want everything right on my screen with a click of a button. So for that, what I have to do is I simply go in a cell and I write is equal to profit. Enter. Now in a diagonally left column, I write all the quantums, say 100. I'll write 100 also, 200, 250, 500, 300, or rather 300, 500. Enough scenarios for me. Now, what I have to do is I can write profit over here and I can write quantity over here. Okay. Now you are supposed to select all the cells and go to what if analysis, data table. Because my columnar data is the input, so I write column input cell and I write it as C4, which is column over here. And I click OK. The only mistake that I did was that I unintentionally I selected the alphabets. 1 second. Okay. Is equal to profit. This is done. Data, what if analysis, data table, column input is the quantum. Okay. F2, this is the quantum. F3 is supposed to be blank. F3 to G6 is done. Okay, same size. I'm inadvertently doing something wrong, which I'm not able to figure out right now. I'll just redo it one more time. G3, this will be is equal to profit. Okay. F4 will be my quantum, 200, 300, and 400. Now I have to select, this is selected. Column input. Yeah, it's done. So I'll just redo it for the audience and increase my font size. So I'm supposed to link the profit is equal to profit, and I'm supposed to write all my quantums as per my criteria. So I write quantum as 200, 300, 500. Now I select this entire table and I go to data, what if analysis, data table, and under the column, because my data is in the columnar format, I go in the column and I simply select my original quantity and I select OK. This is how my profit comes. So if I write 200, the profit is 3350. If I write 500, it is 9725 in both the scenarios. So this was just a quick learning so that we understand we don't have to manually enter different scenarios. We can use the data table for making things a little more quick. Let's move to almost the last section, which is the most awaited section, which is the shortcuts. So Simply speaking, there's nothing to learn about these things. You can always use Alt functionality and then see what is coming on your screen. So, right now, I've just clicked Alt and several things have been highlighted. When I click on H, the Home tab will be highlighted. And similarly, when we were using conditional formatting, if I use L, accordingly, those things will be highlighted. So the more and more you use it, of course, you will be able to remember. And everything need not be remembered. So similarly, for merge and center, it is Alt HMC. So Alt, when you click H, you see merge and center, it says M. And then for center, it says C. This is how it was derived. So for filter, it is Control Shift L. To remove it, it's also the same. To select a column, you choose Control with the spacebar. And to select a row, you select Shift with the spacebar. In order to hide a row, use the Control key with 9. To hide a column, you use Control with 0. So 9 and 0 to hide a row and column. They're both simultaneous. Pivot table, Alt with dashing Priya, fantastic. So all DPF. To wrap text, you go to the Home tab and click on Wrap Text, or you can do Alt HW. Current date is using Control with the semicolon. To write something in the same line, you use Alt and Enter. So if I've written something and I want to write something in the next line, I use Alt Enter and I write. To copy something on the right side, same exact thing, Control R. Down, if you have to copy something, Control D. To use double underline, you can use Alt H 3D. Again, this is again derived like Alt with H and then whatever is coming up. So Alt H 3D. To repeat a function, use F4, simply F4. For example, I have marked something in red and I want another cell to be highlighted in red. So I do F4. So this is how the exact function gets repeated. For all borders, you can use Alt HBA or Control Shift and. Alternatively, I've put it in the quick access toolbar. So I press my Alt button and number 6 has been assigned to it. No borders is Alt HBN. To remove the filled colors, Alt HHN. Auto sum, Alt equal to. Format painter, Alt HFP. I have done quick access toolbar thing. So for me, it's Alt with the 4. In order to use format painter to be used on multiple cells, for example, if it's red and I want multiple cells to be highlighted in red, you have to double click on the format painter and then choose all your cells. Okay, I've already done double tap and I will keep on using different cells. Format painter, done, done. And I click on escape to escape this. Paste special that we did today is Control Alt V. Find is Control F. Replace is Control H. Saving is Control S. Quitting a worksheet is Control W. Replacing I've told. Format cells dialog box comes with Control 1. Bold italics underline is with Control B, U and I. Alternatively, number 2, 3 and 4 have been also assigned to it. To insert a row, use Control Shift plus. To insert a column, use Control Shift plus and you choose it from the options over here. Alternatively, you can select the entire row using Shift and spacebar and then choosing Control Shift plus. Similarly, to insert a column, you select the column either manually or using the control with the spacebar and then you choose Control Shift plus. Edit a cell as we did today, F2 functionality. Absolute references that you use the dollar sign or you use F4 when you are in the editing mode. Select everything using Control A. Percentage format is Control Shift %. General format is Control Shift and the tilde key, which is the key next to number 1 on your keyboard. Insert a new worksheet within the same workbook using Shift F1. Print preview is using Control P or Control F2. Go to a particular cell using Control G. For example, right now I am in cell A40, but I want to scroll up. So I do Control G and I write A21. So I actually came on A21 over here. Now I have to go back on cell A40 again. So I do Control G, A40. This is where I am again. So I don't have to scroll up and down again and again. In order to go to the cells which are connected with the formula, use control with the left square bracket. For example, 2, 3 and 8 have been summed up. But in order to understand which cells have been connected, I use control with the left square bracket. When I click it, the cells got highlighted. To show something on the quick access bar, you press the Alt button and use the number which is there. One interesting fact about Excel is that you can reduce your file size when you save it as a binary workbook. For that, you press F12 or you go to File Save As thing. So I'll use F12. Now you save type as over here, click Excel binary workbook. It'll reduce the file size to a great extent and it will also lead to Excel hanging a little more less. In order to write the formula and to complete it all by yourself, use the tab key. So it's like is equal to VLOOKUP. So is equal to VLO when you do, press the tab. Paste special, we've done this. But one thing when we copy the data from softwares is that the numbers get pasted as texts. For example, number 15,000. As we know, numbers are always right aligned and the text is always left aligned. So on your screen, you can see if I've highlighted this in red. If you see 15,000, it's left aligned and whatever formula you're going to put on 15,000, it will not work. So in order to put this as a number, what you're supposed to do is write 0 anywhere in your sheet. You do Control C on 0 and on that number you do Control Alt V and you click on add over here, add. So anything added by 0 is of course the same number and you click OK. Having done that, let me change the color and show you. Observe the sheet in yellow, the cell in yellow. 15,000 is right aligned and you can perform any number, any task on it. For example, 15,000 into 2. Yes, it's working. Did it work on the original number into 2? Of course it did because I had tweaked the formula a little, but usually it doesn't. To switch between two opened workbooks, you can always use Control with the tab. To show or hide this ribbon, use Control F1. One interesting thing is what I've written here is to shift between one thing and the previous thing within the same window, you can use tab and the shift tab button. For example, Control H is replacement, what I was using before. So if I have to go from replace with to next tab or say previous tab, I don't have to use my mouse at all. I can use I can use shift tab to go to the previous thing and I can use tab to go further. So shift tab is used to go to the previous thing. Moving on quickly to the last section because I really want to take up certain queries. I'll quickly cover the errors which we find in Excel. So the first error is the div error, which is division error. When you're trying to divide something by 0 or a blank cell, this error comes. The name error comes when the formula has been written incorrectly or you've given a wrong cell reference or the quotation marks have not been given. For example, in VLOOKUP or in the if condition, good and bad are the text, you've not given the quotation, this error is going to come. Or you've given us wrong cell reference like FA has been written accidentally, error is going to come. Or instead of sum, you wrote sun, error will come. So the name is wrong. The null error comes when the formula is not proper or you've not written a comma in the formula. For example, the plus sign has not been given over here. There is a space. Second example, the colon is missing. Third formula, the comma is missing over here. after the first cell. The reference error comes that the cell which was referred to has been deleted altogether. For example, on the right hand side, 190 is the sum total of first three cells. Okay. Now, if I try to delete a column altogether, sorry, I copied this formula on the left hand side. The 190 formula has been copied on the left hand side. The error came because it doesn't have the reference of the cells towards the left side. My original formula had the sum of three cells, but when I copied it on the left hand side, there are absolutely no cells on the left which it should add. Similarly, when I was talking about deleting something, I've manually put a formula as first two cells have been added. If I deleted the first row, this error would have come because the reference cells is missing. This wouldn't have come if I would have used the sum formula. NA as it came today comes when the value is not found. Hashes come when the size of the cell is way too less or way too small. When you increase the cell width or the cell height, it comes back to the original number. Value comes when you're trying to perform an operation of a text with a number. For example, I have two numbers with me, two text and a number. One is a number, one is a text. When I tried to do a formula with it, it didn't work. Circular reference is one thing which is very common in all the Excels, and one thing which was prompting again and again on our screen today as well was this circular reference. So this happens when you are giving the reference of a cell in its own formula. For example, my sum of E30, 31, and 32 is being done in E32 itself, or F30, 31, and 32 is being given in F32 itself. How is it possible that a cell will add up the grand total in itself? So for that, what you can do is always check your Excel for circular reference. Go to the formula, click on error checking, and you click on circular reference. So you would know which cell is having a circular reference. E32 in my case, it's saying is having a circular reference. You can always remove it, and you should remove it to get the proper results. So the num error, which is the last error, is when you provided a wrong value to Excel. For example, an impossible task. For example, number 2, a date with a negative figure. It's not possible. Or a square root of a negative number, which is why this error is going to come. Which brings me to the end of the slide. With still some time remaining, I would open the gateway to the question and answers so that I can quickly take them up. And I really hope this was useful for all of you. And please feel free to write to me in case of any issues.
Yes, the session was very informative. Thank you so much. It was a great session. In fact, I have actually, we were not permitted to take the queries in between the sessions. So I've just gone through the queries. So one of the query was from Mary Asha from Bangalore, CA. She has asked for shortcuts for Mac users. Are they the same or they are different?
They would be different, yeah, because some
Okay.
more or less they would be different, yeah.
So, ma'am,
I
maybe contact. I think everybody doesn't have that query, so maybe she can contact you.
She's a very dear friend of mine. I would take that up with her personally.
Okay, okay. So, few of them, Miss Rupali, she from Mumbai, she had the query of uh, shifting from text to column option. She wanted that you should explain again the text to column option, please.
Okay, go ahead with the other queries. I'll quickly take that up.
Okay. Then from Yugeshji from Hubli, he wanted to know power query in Excel with data illustrations.
We've not covered it in this slide.
Okay. And then we had Vishnuji from Hyderabad. He wants that the presentation should be shared.
Of course.
And another Sarma Vankaji from Sikandrabad. He wanted to know again. He wanted you to repeat the advanced auto filter option.
Okay. Okay.
So I
Are
think by
these
the
these?
no, yeah, there are few are repetitive, and then there was a query that the Excel cells were not moving. Actually, at one point, there was a problem, and then they want you the presentation to be shared. So I think it will be available on the.
The presentation is not, but the ICI TV would be broadcasting this session itself.
Okay.
Believe the presentation is not in itself any of any use to any person. I believe the session itself, it's the information that they need to collect from it. But I'll anyway contact the admin about this.
Okay, or
I'll
maybe few people
tell you.
who want the
Yeah,
presentation, they can contact you.
of course, of course.
You
I'll
can share the number maybe.
I have already. I believe there was an internet connection issue also. Was the sheet hanging completely?
No, yeah, at times it was actually because your voice was also not that audible. But then that was at time, but not. I think initially it was like for a few
Okay.
5-10 minutes, and then it was fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these were the only things that we had in hand.
And yeah, you I think carry on with the text to column, because I think 3-4 people had this text to column option query, and then this uh, that presentation, what they wanted the presentation to be shared, and advanced auto filter.
That I remember. Okay. We'll move on to the first. We'll move on to text to columns. So go to everything is in the first column. So go in the adjacent column and you do is equal to first cell and the cell next to it, right below it, and you press enter. Now in column A itself, you select that column, put a filter, Control Shift L, click on the drop down, press E to go to the search bar. Forget the shortcuts if it's difficult, and you enter the sole ID. In my case, it's 1111. Now all the sole IDs have come on my screen. Now I simply copy paste this red formula in all these cells. So I use Alt colon to select just these cells, not any other cell here and there. And I paste this formula simply. Having done that, I simply copy this particular column because everything right now is running completely from left to right. It's not in particular column yet. So I select these cells, Alt colon again, to select these cells itself and not those which are hidden. If you see the left, 5, 7, 9, 11. 6 is hidden, 8 is hidden, so on and so forth. So Alt colon is done. You observe there's a very light line over here, which means that only these cells have been selected. If I would have chosen normally, a very dark line comes. When I do Alt colon, only this selection gets selected. Anyhow, when we do copy and we paste it elsewhere, now column B, C, D, E, everything is blank. Still everything is in column A. To do text to column, you select your column A, Alt AE, America, England. Go with the fixed width. Next, use these bars to adjust as per your convenience. And if accidentally you've placed it, double click on it to remove. Next, click on the particular column and choose the type you want it to be in. So count has to be in text. Date can be changed, cannot be changed. In my case, it's working fine. Click on finish and it's done. This is all that was needed. Now, the only other thing that I added in this was to simply remove the commas. So I do Control H, find what, comma, replace with nothing, and I click replace all. Now I can use any formula on these because these are actual numbers now. Having done this, I really hope this solves the query. The other function was the auto filter, Smriti ma'am. Auto filter, no? Or the advanced filter, I'm not very sure.
The advanced filter.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I was wondering auto filter is pretty simple.
Advanced or
Okay,
advanced and auto filter both actually, I think. Advanced auto filter. Advanced and
understood.
auto filter.
I will quickly take it up, no worries. So, in order to add auto filter on the quick access toolbar, you go to the data tab and you click on this filter button, right click on it, and you click on add to quick access toolbar. In case it's not appearing, depending on the version of your Excel, go to the file, options, quick access toolbar, choose command from all the commands, keep on scrolling over here, or you simply tap A so that you come down to A. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. With a funnel like structure, click on add. When it's added, when you're just supposed to click OK then. Now, when you press Alt, a number gets assigned to your auto filter. So use that function now. Now I want to filter out the data pertaining to say east itself, nothing else. So I use Alt with the number assigned as per your computer. In my case, it's 8, so I use Alt 8 together, and my data gets filtered without having to filter it manually. It saved a lot of time. This was about the auto filter. Moving on to the advanced filter, we'll move with a simple example. First step is to exactly copy paste the headings. So I'll just do copy paste. I'll not do it manually at all to avoid errors. So I've done copy paste and I've written one name, say Nikhil, whose information I want. Let's keep it simple. Okay, now I click anywhere inside my table. I go to the data tab. I click on advanced, copy to another location. List range is original data. Criteria ranges my criteria on the right hand side. So I select this criteria, copy to any blank area, and I click OK. All the information pertaining to Nikhil comes. Now, if it was Sam as well, or Leo for that matter, I have to simply repeat the steps. Click anywhere inside the table, data, advanced, copy to another, list range is my database, original table, criteria range is what is coming on the right hand side, the entire thing, copy to my blank space. And I press OK. Leo's info is there, Nikhil's info is there. What I added was for Nikhil, because we have three answers for Nikhil, I wanted to add a criteria for him, which was sales of product 1 are greater than 6,000 should only come to my screen. So I write Nikhil sales greater than 6,000. Leo sales, I will not put a criteria. Okay, let's put a criteria, say greater than 8,000. Because I know his information, it should not come. The final result should be 0 for Nikhil. Let's see if it works. So I click anywhere inside the table, data, advanced, copy to another. My list range is automatic, of course. The criteria range is what I've entered on the right side as the criteria, and copy to is my blank space. And I click OK. So Leo, of course, he had.
They're saying that they can't see in the repeat process, I believe.
Were you able to see it now?
Actually, it was visible to me. I don't know why they're not able to
Probably
see.
at that time you said there was a connection issue, must have happened.
Just now somebody's written.
Oh, okay. Surprising.
We could not see anything in this repeat process. I don't know. But like the screen was moving, everything was moving. I don't know how.
Let me quickly take it out again for the last time. Okay. So click anywhere inside the table, click on data, advanced, copy to another location. Criteria range would be my right hand side, whatever criteria I've entered, and copy to would be my blank space. And I click OK. All the information pertaining to Nikhil comes. The only added thing that I did was that I added a criteria of sales of product 1, sales of product 1 are greater than 6,000. Similarly, if I wanted another criteria, say his region should be east. That's what I wrote for Nikhil right now. Let's see if it works. Clicking anywhere inside the table, data, advanced, another location, criteria range, it's already filled by default. And copy to blank space. Click OK. So Nikhil's, I believe I did not enter the correct criteria. So I'll just change it. My criteria range would be this. Copy to over here and I click OK. So Nikhil's Eastern region sales are on my screen. And additionally, his sales of product 1 are also greater than 6,000. Yes, Priti ma'am, tell me other queries, please. Yes, Priti ma'am, tell me.
Yeah, this query was regarding text to column. Once more, if you can explain text to column?
Definitely, I will. Please let me know if there are other queries.
No, just about that.
Oh, that's it. Perfect. I will. No worries at all.
Hmm.
So, on your screen, you have account numbers, along with them, the sanction dates and other things in two different rows. What I want is entire information has to be in one particular row in the first stage, just like we had those old days wherein the big sheets used to be printed from those dot matrix printers. Everything used to come in big columns. So my first criteria would be to arrange everything in one particular row in a running way. So for that, I go to the cell which is adjacent to the first cell containing all the information. In my case it's in A2, so I go to B2, immediate adjacent cell, and I go is equal to left hand side cell and the one beneath it, and I press enter. Step 2 is to select that particular column and apply a filter. Now you search for the sole ID. Sole ID done. Now you copy paste this formula in these cells. Copy paste done. Now you copy this in another sheet. Copy done, paste done. Now we are supposed to put it in different columns because still the data is in one particular column only. It's not bifurcated yet. Now you select column A again in the new sheet, Alt AE, click on fixed width. Next,
Fixed width,
let
I believe we can't see the fixed width. Can you just be little, I mean,
width over
what is
here. When they open the screen, fixed. There are two options which says
text to
one of
column?
them is
Maybe they
two button come, which one of them is delimited, the other one is fixed width.
Hmm.
Excel usually tells you by itself which option is best suited for you. In my case, it automatically prompted fixed width. So, and I actually wanted to choose fixed width only. I click on next. I use the arrows or the bars
They
to
are
adjust
actually,
the.
I think they are just looking for the pop-up option, which I mean the cursor where you're using it.
You're able to see it, right? The fixed width.
You, I'm not able to see right now. Where is it?
See over here, radio button, step 1 of 3, wizard. I'm moving my cursor. Can you see a pop up? Convert text to column wizard, step 1 of 3.
No.
Surprising, it's not coming. Were the
I
other pop ups coming?
Yeah. You are
Still,
on the.
can you see my?
Actually, I can see the text to columns, but you're not clicking on that, I believe.
Huh, I'm not clicking. True, I'm on step 1. Fixed width, can you see? Here.
We can't see the. Just a second.
Oh my god.
I
That's
can't see
strange.
the cursor.
Cursor is okay, but are you able to see the option which says delimited and fixed width?
No.
Surprising. Anyway, if you do it on your screen, you will be able to see after this step. So simply try to make a quick note of it if you're not able to see it on the screen. In the quick wizard, click on the fixed width and you click on the next button. Use the
It's
long bars
data and text to column. No, we have to go. Yeah.
and then you choose the long bars to adjust the spaces wherever you want to. You can just put a line break wherever, just simply click once. And if you've done it accidentally, double tap it to remove it. Then you click on next again. Last prompt comes step 3, which is column data format. So you select your column and you choose the text format. It says general, text, date, etc. So I choose text for my account number and I click on finish button. That was the only last thing. In case you're not able to see my screen, you can always choose your screen to quickly see where it comes.
Ma'am, can you be able to explain the pivot table again, or maybe you can share because it's a big. It was a long. Uh, somebody's
I
asking for a.
I will, Smriti ma'am. Coming to the pivot table quickly, simply select your table, use Alt DPF. Now you choose different things that you want in your rows. I want the type of account in my row, and along with it, I want the balance outstanding to come in the particular column. So I choose balance outstanding and I drag and drop in the value section. Now I also want how many accounts exist in this particular type. So I again use this tab, which is balance outstanding, and I drag and drop again in the value section. And because it's going double, I click on the sum, this thing drop down under the value section, which is pivot table fields dialog box, and I click on value field settings. Here I choose count function and I click OK. Now my pivot table states that AGRLA has one account whose outstanding is 60. Next query if there is. I think we are done with the time. If there's,
Yeah,
I'll
I think there is
quickly.
no query also.
Perfect.
There is, yeah. So just they wanted. I think where on the institute site will it be available?
ICI TV, they can always search it. All the
Okay,
webinars, it will be
okay, all the
uploaded or so. Yeah.
okay. And here on the screen is available CA Priya Seth's email address also and her phone number also, mobile number in case anybody wants. Thank you so much. It was a wonderful session. So I thank all the participants this webinar and thank you to CA Priya Seth from Jammu. Thank you so much. It was a wonderful session and very enlightening one. And actually, it reduces the work pressure. The lots of we undergo, especially during the bank audits. I believe there's the humongous data we come across. So definitely, the Excel tools work a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Smriti ma'am, for being the moderator. Thank you.